This is the Buddhist human ecology. Buddhist is Buddha's knowledge, as we know, and human means human being, which is us, people, a woman, a man. Eco, okay, eco, let's see. Eco here comes from the German, comes from the Greek word, ecos, O-I-K-O-S, mean household, but it's echoing somewhere, no? Household or the house. And logi means to learn or to study. So ecology is to study of a house or a whole household, whatever contains in the house and its environment. Now, let me say a little bit first, how did I get into ecology? Because I was a graduate student at the University of California in Davis in 1971 to 1973. And at that time, it was the first time in the US that there is an ecology course forming as a graduate group. Normally it's undergrad, as an undergraduate course, but that was the first year because they saw the need to have more research done in ecology, and graduate students can do more research than the undergrad. Okay, so it's now I'm showing this word economy because we heard of economy easily, but very rarely heard of ecology. But now you know it comes from the same, the front word is the same thing, it's about a house. But economy is to management, about a household, about how you spend money, what to do with all the stuff in the house. So it's become economy. But ecology, we usually study in nature, away from us, away from the house. So we don't really heard about it. Okay, so ecology is the study of the whole house and its environment. Study of the individual inside the house, okay? At the beginning, when people study ecology, they are biologists, zoologists, which are scientists who study animals. So the house of the animals is the place where they live, and they call that habitat, which not necessary to understand or to really have to remember any name. It's just the house of the animals is the place where they live. Now, how it starts? About almost 140 years ago, the German zoologist Ernest Haeckel is the first scientist who used the term ecology. Okay, and how, because, and this is him, when he was young and he get older. He made a good recording of the animals that he saw painted so beautifully. Okay, so he's the first one that really bring the art into science. Now, to make it short, the interaction between individual to other organisms and the environment is called ecosystem. Now, ecology is a subject. This subject is to study about the individual and organisms and its environment. So there is ecosystems is studying, and there are many ecosystems intertwined, one on top of another. It's just mixed. There is a layer and it's overlaps. A lot of ecosystem overlaps. The world will be the biggest ecosystem. And inside the world, and when we talk about the ecosystem of the world, if we want to separate into roughly those 7 continents, or 7 continents, right? And five oceans, or 5 ทวีป. I'm not sure, is it 5 continents? Whatever it is, we can split the big, the whole picture of the ecosystem into smaller unit of ecosystems. So when we study, we can have many small ecosystems in the big ecosystem. Now, just want to show you how this Ernest Haeckel started. When he was young, as like a first-year student, the teacher took him to study the animals in the cliff area, in the reef. And you see in here, around there would be algae. So along with the algae and the coral reef, you see many kind of animals come. Okay, many type of animals will come. So he studied. Let's see if suppose we will assign this whole frame here as an ecosystem. So he will study to see how many organisms in this area. And he will write it down and make a drawing of the picture, because that time there was no photo, there's no camera to take pictures. And then he will see how these little animals doing and what happened to these small animals, which means that some bigger animal, like the bigger fish, come and eat the smaller animals that live inside of the coral areas. Okay, so this is the way the interaction, the interrelationship of animals to its environment. And different kinds of coral. The little pink one is like sea anemone. The big one is a different type of anemone, sea anemone also. And see, over to this corner is what they call หอยเม่น. This porcupine. And okay. So inside the sea anemone, then there are tiny, microscopic organisms ที่มันตัวเล็กๆเราก็มองยากนะมันก็ล่องลอยอยู่ it's all inside, but then the bigger fish will come and eat. Now when we look at, well, this is when it's closed and when it was open, so it's beautiful. And when we see from the big scope, we see the big fish. Wherever their feeding time, they'll come around the coral. This is the picture that he drew to show all the pretty things that he found. And we hardly could recognize it in coral reef, a different kind of sand dollars laying all over. But, normally we don't see the real sand dollar in the real color. You probably have seen sometime like a round one that was, and it's white. It was like a skeleton of the sand dollar. When it's died, and it's just like the calcium carbonate deposit. It's the bones of it, so you don't see anything. But in the life form, it's very pretty. So now, in those days, they study, and ecology becomes known. Okay? But I'm gonna insert this section right now. This is more of a modern one, just to give you the idea that you can see easier. How about if we want to study ecology of the bees? Okay, the bees. The bee as the pollinators, bees play a part in every aspect of the ecosystem. They support the growth of trees, the flowers, and other plants. And so the bees contribute to the complex interconnected ecosystem that allow the other different species to coexist like this. The bees come to the flowers to get the sugar from the flowers, the syrup, and pollinate at the same time. It helps in pollination of the flowers. The little animals, like the insects, which is around those areas of trees, can eat either fruit or either something from the plant. Bigger one like the rat, the mouse, can eat the fruit. That is the product from pollination, and then the flowers breed and become fruit. So animals like mouse or birds can eat. But then again, this is an inescapable food chain in real life, in nature. The smaller animals become the prey, will be eaten by the bigger animals. Okay, as you see in this. The big wolf will eat all the little ones like this. Small bird will be eaten by the big bird. The frog will be eaten by the bigger bird, that kind of thing, or by other animals. When we look at this and we see human being is on top and doing, we have no danger from other animals. Okay, we're going to come back to this, that we are at the top of the cycle. So let's see, if we study the bees, the beehives, you see the bees coming pollinated. The bees are working in the hives. We will study how many kinds of bees. Then we learn that there are 3 types of bees in the hive. There is the worker bees, which are the ones who flies out to the flowers and bring the sap of the flowers back to the nest and do all kinds of work inside the beehives. To take care of the baby bees, of the embryo bees, and take care of the queen. This is the queen. And excuse me. And to the right side here is the drone, which is the male. The, the male is to mate with the queen, so the queen can lay eggs. Usually in one beehive, there is one queen. The female queen can live up. Sometimes it says 2 to 7 years, sometimes it says 5 years. We can study that. And the worker bees are non-reproducing females. The worker bees are the females and has a roles of nursing, cleaning, building the hive to get the food. And drones are only male, and they live approximately about 90 days. And they don't sting. The drone, the male bees don't sting. So we can learn a lot about that, and we can. So that is like ecology of the beehives. Okay. Now, so the bees can. There's a little bit of interesting here that the royal jelly is a white pudding-like food. It's secreted from the gland, from a gland in the nurse bee's head. The bees that do the nursing to the babies one will create that, what we call the royal jelly, and feed the baby female one that's going to be the queen, including the queen itself. Somehow they have the instinct to know. And it is interesting that in the beehives, because there is only one queen, so the baby queens, whoever come out first, hatch first, will be the strongest one first, will kill the other queens, so that there can be only one queen bees in the hives. So this kind of thing is interesting to learn about the animals as well. Now, something if you want to look at, at the nature like that, and we compare to human beings, then there are big countries,ประเทศมหาอำนาจ, who has more power than the small ones, that kind of things. So here is the queen speaker, and then all the workers works around it. Here they put the color so we know that it's, in their study, so we know that it's a queen. And the bee is useful in its work, and also the products that is made. We can use the honey that it has, that is used for their own food. And we can use the bee wax to make many useful things. Now I'm giving you examples of the bees so that we can think of the ecosystem, think of the word ecology, ecosystem, and we can compare in Buddhism. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing now, about Buddhism, but this is just an idea to show you in this first lesson. It's just introduction to ecology. So, with that kind of examples, you can think about how we can bring the knowledge about Buddhism, about the Buddha, about the teaching, and make it into the subject, into one particular subject of ecology. Okay? And we're going to talk about it a little later. Let me continue with this presentation. So, Ernest Heckel was over 100 years old, but nowadays, in these last 100 years, we have who is the father of the modern ecology. Then this person, Professor Eugene P. Odom, comes in the picture because he is in, our century from 1900 to 2000. He is an American, and he is a biologist at the University of Georgia, and he introduced more work of the ecosystem to show the ecosystem, and that's him. He and his brother wrote a book which became the popular textbook over 10 years. It's called Fundamental of Ecology. Now, he explained about the levels of organization of living things. So this is, he give more system into the ecology, into the ecosystem, okay, as from the smallest one, like organelle to cells, like organelles are the things inside the cell. Like when we talk about that is a nucleus, in the cell there is a lot of things in the cytoplasm, that is organelles. And we talk about cells, and we talk about tissues, organs, organ systems, and organisms, like when you become a real one, like a human being, or an elephant, or a frog, or something that become organism that we can see. And the population of that organism, and in the community sense, and in the ecosystem. And biosphere is a cover the whole thing. That is the way he classified, he organized. So how we look at things, we can look at that kind of scope. However, there is nothing fixed, okay? So it is not that if we are doing things in our communities and it will not affect other communities. But this is what he was showing later in terms of ecosystems. Okay. The ecosystem is a basic functional unit which we must deal, since it includes both organisms and the non-living environment, is influencing the properties of the other. อันนี้ก็หมายความว่าถ้าตัว organism กับสิ่งแวดล้อมที่มันเป็น non-living เนี่ยมันมีอิทธิพลต่อกันและกัน It is influencing the properties of the other, and both necessary for maintenance of life as we have it on earth. แล้วก็ทั้งสองอย่างทั้ง organism กับทั้ง non-living environment เนี่ยก็มีความจำเป็นสำหรับการที่เราจะดำรงชีวิตอยู่บนโลกนี้นะคะคราวนี้ถ้าเราจับตรงนี้เราจะเห็นเลยว่าโอ้โหเราเอาสิ่งที่ความเป็นพุทธอยู่แล้วนะความเป็นพระพุทธเจ้าที่พระพุทธเจ้าสอนอยู่แล้วในอภิธรรมการที่จะขึ้นบทขึ้นมาว่าขึ้นต้นก็มีการแบ่งออกไปเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตกับสิ่งไม่มีชีวิตอะไรเงี้ยในทางพุทธของเราเนี่ยทำเป็นหลักวิทยาศาสตร์อยู่แล้วอย่างมากเลยซึ่งเราสามารถเอามาปรับแล้วก็พูดในเชิงระบบของเขาคือเอาระบบของเขาที่เขามีอยู่พวกอีโคซิสเต็มอะไรเงี้ยเอามาใช้แล้วก็เอาสิ่งที่เราปฏิบัติอยู่แล้วเอาอย่างยกตัวอย่างง่ายๆความเป็น อยู่ในกลุ่มของสงฆ์วัดหนึ่งวัดนี่ก็คืออีโคซิสเต็มอันหนึ่งละและการปฏิบัติทั้งหลายที่คือภารกิจหน้าที่ของพระภิกษุที่มีอยู่ในวัดนั้นซึ่งก็แยกได้เลยว่าเป็นเรื่องของวินัยแบบหนึ่งเรื่องเป็นของอะไรแยกแต่อย่างก็เป็นกิจของสงฆ์แต่ละอย่างก็เอามาเล่าได้ในลักษณะที่เป็น ecology แล้วพระสงฆ์ทำประโยชน์ยังไงนะคะอันนี้ก็มาเล่าอีกเป็นเรื่องของ ecology เพราะฉะนั้นการที่เราไปเจอคนแล้วโดยที่จะพูดคุยกับเขาในลักษณะที่ไม่ใช่ว่าเป็นบอกว่านี่เป็นเรื่องของศาสนานะแล้วบอกว่าคุณรู้จัก human ecology ไหมเอา topic human ecology ขึ้นมาพูดแล้วก็บอกว่าแล้วก็อธิบายไปได้เลยสงฆ์ก็เป็นส่วนหนึ่งที่อยู่ในก็เป็น Buddhist human ecology เราอธิบายไปได้ทำนองนั้นนะคะก็อยากจะให้ดูนิดนึงว่าสไลด์
Eugene Pleasance Odom, widely regarded as the father of modern ecology, was a visionary. Before lead was banned from gasoline, before Rachel Carson published Silent Spring, and before the United States celebrated Earth Day, Eugene Odom's research and advocacy inspired the modern environmental movement.
The word ecology simply comes from the Greek word meaning house. And so what this symbol symbolizes is our total house, our total environment. And that's all ecology is a study and understanding and preservation of the total environmental picture, which means man and environment.
But forging new scientific ground wasn't easy. In the fall of 1946, when he was an associate professor in the University of Georgia's biology department, Odom suggested that his ecology class be required for all new biology majors. His fellow scientists looked at him and laughed, but Odom went home and began writing a guiding set of principles that would ultimately serve as the foundation for the discipline's first and only textbook for more than a decade, Fundamentals of Ecology.
Darwin wasn't the first one to talk about evolution, you know. There again, the timing.
นะคะตรงนี้เนี่ยคือการที่จะเริ่มต้นอะไรใหม่ๆมันไม่ใช่ง่ายเขาเป็นคนที่พยายามที่จะคือผลักดันให้มีการศึกษาเรื่องของ ecology เรื่องของ ecosystem ให้เกิดขึ้นแล้วก็ในลักษณะที่เป็นการศึกษาทำนองเป็นภาคบังคับคือให้นักเรียนทุกคนได้เรียนการที่จะทำนั้นมันก็ไม่ใช่ยากไม่ใช่ง่ายตอนแรกก็ไม่ได้รับการสนับสนุนนะฮะจนในที่สุดพอเขาเขียนนั้นก็ในที่สุดก็ทำหนังสือออกมาก็คือ Fundamental of Ecology เป็น textbook ออกมาตรงนี้เนี่ยก็อยากจะที่นำเสนอในเรื่อง Human Ecology ก็คล้ายๆกันอย่างนี้แหละขณะนี้ในโลกมีวิชา Human Ecology แต่ว่ามันไม่มีแก่นอยู่ข้างในมีวิชาว่าด้วยเนี่ย ecology ธรรมดาแต่ก็ไม่มีใครมีความรู้เรื่องจิตไม่มีใครมีความรู้เรื่องที่จะทำยังไงวิธีการที่จะทำยังไงถึงจะถึงความสุขภายในถ้าเรานะ so this is the point here that we have the knowledge in Buddhism that a lot that we could put into human ecology. Okay, sorry, let me just continue with Odom to show that the man has done all of his life for ecology. So when he died, he also gave a piece of land, his land to build a school and all the, his money also in building the school and do as endowment for the they don't call scholarships, but they call it the award. So there is Odom School of Ecology at the University of Georgia, and then also he gave money as endowment for Ecological Society of America, which will offer an award called Eugene P. Odom Award for the excellence in ecology education. Now, the excellence in ecology education, you'll get an award called this. So this is interesting. We're gonna try to help write something about Buddhist human ecology and show to the world that it could be very useful for people in the world. Then we could get the excellence in ecology education. If possible, if we are looking for that, okay. Now let's come back to us. When I went to Davis at that time, that's in 1971. So people in 1960 something to 70, it's the era of, after Second World War, is industrialized. It's the industrial era and boom in everything. And it's like human being is on top of the world. So there's so many kind of things that we do, and we did not think of environmental problems at all. So there are many kinds of pollution problems happen in the States. And, it's slowly around the world, but it wasn't recognized as much as in the States at that time. Starting by water pollution, when they use a lot of detergent, detergent for household, detergent to clean all the factories, clean the cars, clean the roads, and all the water. There was no system to do something, so the water runs into the river. And there was a picture of the river full of foams from detergent. So from there, then they have to think what to do, how to reduce what you call the chemicals that causes foam in the detergent. Detergent is not just a pure detergent, but they add something also in it, that kind of thing. And also how to do water treatment. So we human beings learn from the mistake that we did. And the mistake that we did come from all the comfort that we want in our life. And so we have water pollution, and then we have air pollution from the industry that need coal, tanhin as a fuel for, to run the machine, to run the factories. So there is air pollution from ถ่านหินค่ะถ่านหินดำขโมงมากมายเลยในเขตอุตสาหกรรมทั้งหลาย and then there is natural resources problems that we run down of it, so they have to restore it. There is the social problems, of course, and there is solid waste. The year that I went to UC Davis, and they formed the graduate group because they want to introduce us the problem of solid waste and to see what we're going to do with it. Okay, so that year that I went to, there was like a plant ecology, study about plant. Human ecology, that year that it was started, was pure calculation. There's nothing dealing with idea of human being and how to deal with the mind, nothing like that. It was to calculate about population, and each year that the population growth will affect the natural resource. So we're looking for the exploitation of, of the world resources. And so it come to try to push that we should reduce the population, there is population control. However, the economy do not like that idea. Okay, so there is a fight between ecology and economy. So that was happened in those days, that Yosemite, which is the most beautiful, most famous national park in the state. This is not a nice picture of it. Somehow it wasn't a real, forestry thing up there. But they want to show all the solid waste, and they compare the height of the solid waste if they pile up to be like Yosemite, the mountain here. From the solid waste alone in the national park, that time, you need to have so many trucks come in and haul the junk, the garbage down somewhere, to the other nearby town somewhere to bury it or to take care of it. And it costs a lot of money. It costs days and days and days, almost like after summer, after the season, the tourist season, then it's for the park people to really work for months to take care of the park. And the animals also come in those years. There are problems with the bears come in to the tent, to the hiker's tent to find food. Or the raccoons come in, that kind of thing. So we know that there are problems and we need to solve it. And that's why we need to have the ecology group, to work together. Like at UC Davis that time, they invite all of the graduate students from all departments. You have from agriculture, you have biology, you have engineer, you have doctors, you have lawyer, politics, business, all kinds of things. And they'll come and listen to the problems that we have. And then they work together into solving the problems, because we got to solve, like from the engineer point of view, we got to build a machine, what kind of a truck to come and haul all these junk. Like if you see the big garbage truck that automatically pick up the garbage and be able to compress all the truck to be smaller so that they can put more of the junk into the truck. That comes from that kind of years, that when we have to, the US have a lot of problem with solid waste like this. And then we have to have the administration, the zoning for the truck, those company to run in the community, so it's like a business arrangement, that type of thing. Then you got to have a lot of, and the law enforcement, and there is another group that we do with how to build a plant to burn the waste, or if you're going to bury it, to be safe, what you have to do. all kind of studies come from to get rid of the waste. And we would, as we study from our Buddhist point of view, from what Luang Por Thatta used to say, we all human, we create waste. We are the biggest waste production machine on earth. Okay, we human beings. Okay, now this book, so they're going to show you how this book become inspiring for the New Age in that year, because they need to seek more harmonious relationships between man and nature. They see it happen in the national park, and they see it from the space, because the astronaut went to the moon and took the picture down to the earth, and they see the beautiful planet, but it's this living, breathing organism looks so fragile, okay, from the space. They see the beauty, and then they start to feel, oh, okay, now this is a hurricane forming in the ocean. The hurricane forming. This is like in the ocean where there is the oil drill somewhere in more of the, or in the countries, in the Middle East area and in the water somewhere. The fire burning from the oil. This one is the what we call the real forest burning is a fire in Australia, and they say the natural fire burning like this, forest fire, happens so often in Australia. This is to see United States itself, this whole country, it's like country, it's a big continent. This is Florida right here, and how the growth, all the light that you can see from the astronaut can see down from the satellite. So that means how bright it is. They also see the North Pole, the ice cap is melting, is reducing. Well, because they have picture taking. This trip is 6 months. They took the pictures. They were in the space for 6 months. This is the coral reef. Is another area that the scientists will study, the coral reef in Australia. Great Barrier Reef, to see the size changing and all of that. This will indicate that the nature has been damaged, so that we have to be careful. So from the 5 global change phenomenon from Earth, from space, make them how do I do it? This one is about, let's see how the astronaut talks about the beauty.
All of us are wired to appreciate natural beauty, if you will, and anybody, at any time in history, any culture, if you look at an ocean or a mountain or a beautiful forest scene, everybody appreciates that. I mean, it hits us fairly deep. We're wired that way. And when you see your planet that way, and its sum total from space, all those senses kind of get overwhelmed.
First saw planet Earth from space, and still during the launch, outside the atmosphere of Earth, and we were over the Pacific Ocean and just looking at that gorgeous blue, dotted with white clouds, and that black of space.
This impossibly blue planet and this impossibly black sky just kind of hanging out there. It is really, really breathtaking.
Even though you've seen the Earth through movies, pictures, when you look at the Earth with your own eyes, changing very fast at the speed of 8 kilometers per second, what you see is beautiful. You have tears in your eyes, even if you are a tough person, you can't avoid becoming a child again. And we wish all humankind could experience this view of Earth.
It is this perpetual dynamic picture show that again, you never get tired. Even 6 months into the flight, if you pass by a window, it's like a magnet that draws you to it. You want to pick up a camera and take pictures of it.
As we fly around the Earth, every 92 minutes, the Earth is twisted around by about 13 degrees underneath us. So the next time you fly another orbit, of course the Earth's moved around a bit, so you get yet another view, which is, I think, one of the reasons why it's so beautiful. It's entrancing. This constantly moving Earth is something that nobody ever gets tired of looking at.
You could spend hours a day for months looking out the window and never get tired of it. You could never learn all of the Earth, and the Earth is very dynamic. Things change with seasons. There's always lightning storms going on somewhere on the Earth at night, and you can never fail to see these lightning flashes.
It lights up a whole circle of clouds around it, and that seems to set off another flash a few hundred miles away somewhere else. So you get sort of of lightning, and then another bit somewhere else.
You can see the northern lights like you've never seen them before, which is just unbelievable from space, because you're looking at a huge section of the geomagnetic field that produces the aurora. And the other big feature is city lights. You see the distribution of people on the planet based on the lights of the cities. It's really striking.
We're only a couple hundred miles away. We're circling the planet, but just that change in perception, just your ability to step back that far, I think it prioritizes how you feel about the planet.
You believe that Earth is a spaceship. You can't avoid the comparison between Earth looking as a finite object in front of your eyes and your own spaceship, which is closed with limited resources. All humankind being part of the same unique crew.
Certainly you know that there's conflict down there, and certainly you know that there is pain and suffering and injustice, all these things that you certainly feel strongly when you're on the Earth, and you know that those are still there, but that's replaced for a moment by how beautiful it is. I remember thinking, I wish everybody could experience this view of their home planet so that maybe it would reprioritize what's important to them and make them less angry at their neighbors and more concerned about doing what they can so that we preserve the beautiful planet that we live on.
ค่ะก็อยากให้ฟังถึงจบตรงเมื่อกี้นี้เพราะว่าอันนั้นแหละคือที่ inspire คนเป็นจำนวนมาก so because of that space program has make a great movement so people start talking, people start showing the love for the world and want to restore the world. So the movement for Earth Day happened. Excuse me. So by 1970, when the first Earth Day was organized, Odam's conception of the living Earth as a global set of interlaced ecosystems became one of the key insights of the environmental movement that has since spread through the world. นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นโอดัมคนเมื่อกี้ที่เห็นในรูปนั้นเขาก็ทำได้สำเร็จละความต้องการที่เขาจะให้คนมาสำนึกแล้วก็ช่วยกันช่วยแก้ไขโลกก็เกิดขึ้นเพราะว่ามี Earth Day เกิดขึ้นนะคราวนี้เราก็มาดู here with the Earth Day we can talk about our Earth Day and our Dhammakaya temple. Our abbot Hluangพ่อ was born on Earth Day. So you must tie in this kind of, when you talk about Earth Day, when you talk about us, there's something that we can relate to. Okay? So that's just an idea about Earth Day, about Earth and about meditation, about Dhammakaya. Okay, so from that time, then there are more of ecology. It's a lot bigger of the interdisciplinary ecosystems when they study ecology. And any graduate department, the student, if they're interested in doing ecology, they can do it. Like if you're in economics, you have the background in economics, you want to do some sort of economical ecology, and you can do that, as a subject in ecology. So basically, a lot of things happen in the restoration ecology to restore whatever the damage from the world, from the earth. The reforestation, การปลูกต้นไม้ปลูกป่าชดเชยการ the cleaning of the ocean, the cleaning of the lake, air pollution, air cleaning, all kind of things, and then the with the emission law and rules and the devices to detect all kind of things that needs expertise from different areas of study. A lot of it really comes from engineering department and the law. So as you see, there is restoration ecology, ecotoxicology. It talks about all the toxic substances that they found in the air, in the water, in the food chain, in the soil, okay? And then what do we do with it? There is architectural ecology. This is a good one too, how to design a whole community of a house instead of each house. But like nowadays we have a suburban community. So the way they design, they have to really see how to plant which area, the trees, how to shape the section. It's much more detailed study of when you're gonna plant or when you're gonna do something, including the design of the house, the design of furniture, design of the fabric, a lot of things too. And ecological engineering and spiritual ecology. You can study in Mexico, the Mayan people who live on the mountain, and they have their own spiritual culture and rituals. So we can study them and write about and classify as it a spiritual ecology. So we have beautiful Buddhist teaching, and we can do our Buddhist human ecology easily. And as we know the nature of human being, people do not keep the beauty of the earth in their mind for long. They forgot to seek for the harmonious relationship. So you can see it's like every 10 years, there's something happen, and there is another boom again. They try to do it. The economy group, it's like working all the time to so that they have to create something. So there is kind of like a underground, like when people talk about the war that they're trying to create the war in the Middle East. It's actually because they want to sell the weapons, and it's the way of gaining the power, but at the same time the power of the economics. And then so then there will be the time for the pushing all the industry to the third world. And when they do that, then there are more of a products at less, cost less, bringing back in the US and to spread all over the world. Then people start buying things again. It's kind of like a vicious cycle of the economy drive the cycle of human behavior, so that humans do not stay in harmonious, in a harmonious relationship with nature, because there is something come and teach them all the time to lower their mind, and because their mind is not tame, so their mind doesn't learn how to control themselves. Okay, this is a word that I like from Odom. Cooperation for mutual benefit, a survival strategy very common in natural systems, is one that humanity needs to emulate. คือความร่วมมือกันในลักษณะที่เป็นผลประโยชน์ร่วมกันเนี่ยมันเป็นลักษณะอันหนึ่งที่ปรากฏอยู่ในธรรมชาติอยู่ในระบบของธรรมชาติมันเห็นอยู่ตลอดเวลาเห็นอยู่บ่อยๆเป็นปกติอันนี้นี่แหละที่มนุษย์เราควรคือจำเป็นที่ต้องไปเรียนแล้วก็เอาตามอย่างแต่เอาตามอย่างในลักษณะที่จะปรับให้ดีขึ้นนะเพราะว่า emulate แปลว่า to copy or imitate that and what others do or the technology with possibility of making it better ก็ไปดูตามอย่างความเป็นอยู่ในธรรมชาติว่าเขามีระบบอะไรยังไงที่จะทำให้เกิดมี mutual benefit ขึ้นได้ก็อันนี้ก็ย้อนให้เห็นนิดหนึ่งอันนี้จะเริ่มต้นอารัมภบทนิดหนึ่งย้อนเข้ามาเพื่อจะเข้าสู่ human ecology นะคะก็หลังจาก Second World War มาจนถึงปัจจุบันเนี่ย76 ปีนะ76 ปีนี่ one generation หนึ่งชั่วอายุคน The world has been exploited in every direction including human spirit จนกระทั่งถึงเดี๋ยวนี้เนี่ยเราเหนื่อยเหลือเกินแล้ว Science contributes to the comfort of physical world and we all need that we all want that we all like that but the untamed mind causes endless desires confusions and conflicts ก็เมื่อใจของเราที่ยังไม่ได้ถูกฝึก ให้อยู่ในความสงบได้เราก็จะเตลิดไปในความต้องการหลายอย่างทั้งโลภโกรธหลงก็จะไม่มีการควบคุม Now but naturally we human beings want to have comfort. We want the world, we want the physical world that we live around, that we live on to be comfortable world. And we want our mind to be happy. So we want comfort world and happy mind. And we need change for sure because right now, whatever the system of having business, big corporation, and people have to go to work every day, things like this. And people don't have time to take care of themselves well. Things like this has to change. We need change. We need more balance. So as we learn from ecology, we learn that we got to bring in แขนงต่างๆ all branches of the existing administration in the world เนี่ยเอามาช่วยกันเพราะฉะนั้น to change to have the knowledge ก็จะต้องเกิดขึ้นโดยการรวมกันของหลายแขนงนะคะที่จะมารวมกันซึ่งประเดี๋ยวเราคุยอีกนิดนึงคือขณะนี้เนื่องจาก human ecology ที่มันมีอยู่ในโลกที่ตามมหาวิทยาลัยที่สอนเนี่ยมันไม่มีตัวตนจริงๆในลักษณะที่เป็นความรู้ที่จะไปบอกว่าเธอนั่งสมาธิอย่างนี้หรือว่าเราที่จะสอนอะไรชัดเจนเราจะสอนให้มีจิตใจที่รู้จักจิตตัวเองเนี่ยไม่มีสอนนะคะตัวประกายเองเนี่ยที่เมื่อตอนไปเรียนที่ในสมัย1971ที่ไปเรียนก็เอาเรื่องนี้ขึ้นไปพูดกับ director ของคุณเรียกว่าพูดกับตัวผู้อำนวยการของ Eco Group เขาสนใจมากนะเขาบอกว่าเขายอมรับเลยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตรงนี้เนี่ยเราจะต้องเอา true knowledge of life มาเป็น essence of human ecology ให้ได้ก็จะเป็นการที่เราจะเปิด Buddhist human ecology โอเคนะพวกเราก็เวลาของเราก็จบหมดลงแต่เพียงเท่านี้ก็จะขึ้นต้นใหม่อีกทีเดือนหน้านะคะใครมีอะไรจะ